Kom igen nu då! Ja, kom igen! Ja!
Deadlifting with a round back is not for you if you're a recreational lifter or an Olympic weightlifter at any level. Why? Because recreational lifting should be the safest, with the least amount of risk or injury. So a neutral spine when deadlifting is what you should consider safest. However, if you're a powerlifter, whether you compete or you just do it for the gram, for the likes and comments, then rounding the upper back is something you might consider when deadlifting. The athletes you're seeing are all deadlifting with neutral spines even at maximal weights. However, when you do 1 RMs or maximal weights, sometimes slight upper back rounding happens. Well, is rounding the upper back considered good form or bad form? In short, rounding your back is not really about form, it's more of technique. However, excessive lower back rounding and end range spinal flexion is considered bad form. So if you're new to deadlifts and you're rounding your entire spine because you see elite level powerlifters rounding and you've no care for form or technique, then you better listen up because these guys know what they're doing and you probably don't. If you're a powerlifter or strongman, chances are you already round your upper back, and that's great, so carry on, my wayward son. Yes, our spines are designed to bend, and lower back bending is safe during daily life activities. In fact, we need to train our bodies in all ranges of motion, and that includes our lower backs as well. And we should train it in flexion and extension. But we cannot assume that if our spines are built to bend, then we can go ahead and bend the shit out of them without going over technique or form. Yanking a 300 kilogram deadlift off the floor with your lower back isn't the same as picking up a small object or even performing a Jefferson curl. And to lift heavy, you don't really need to round your back. Look at weightlifters. They're some of the strongest people in the world pound for pound, and they lift incredible weights, and not only to their hips, but overhead. And they do it all with a flat back, with focus on extending the upper back, the complete opposite of rounding that you see in powerlifting. Having coached and still coach weightlifting, we do not even start coaching someone to snatch and clean without teaching them how to set up and how to deadlift first. The snatch and the clean both start in a deadlift, and so we need to be able to deadlift to be able to clean and snatch. And we need to lift heavy, but all training is done with a focus on extending the upper back and not flexing it, as it allows for better power transfer and better positioning. And until they get there, if they're not already mobile, they have to modify their lifting and learn from different positions, like the hang versus straight off the floor. So if you have mobility restrictions, then some mobility work is required to get you in the right positions. Otherwise, you can always do trap bar deadlifts, you can always elevate the bar to make it easier, and you can try sumo deadlifting as it might be better suited for your body type. So if you want to give rounded back deadlifting a shot, here's how you go on about it. Here's an article by Brett Contreras on T-Nation. As you gain proficiency in rounded back deadlifting, you'll learn to set up your shoulder blades pulled apart, set up with slight lumbar rounding and a majority of rounding coming from the upper back, brace the core and create considerable intra-abdominal pressure to help lock down the lumbar spine and maintain whatever spinal position is chosen and not allow the position to buckle. This last point is incredibly important, and here's a quote from Konstantinovs.
Bruh.
Konstantinovs, I'm sure I butchered the name. One of the world's best deadlifters. He's Latvian and raw deadlifted 939 pounds without a belt. Most people are stronger when rounding their back during deadlifts. This is natural and shouldn't be thought of as dysfunctional. You can choose to stick with lighter loads and deadlift in neutral spinal position, or to roll the dice and allow for some rounding. If you go this route, make sure you build up the awareness and discipline to avoid fully flexing the lumbar spine while lifting heavy loads. The main three things you need to understand when you lift is 1, just learn how to brace. If you don't know how to brace, ask somebody to teach you. If you're working with a coach, that should be their #1 priority. Understand how to actually create intra-abdominal pressure, because that will always safeguard your lower back. 2, understand the movement patterns that you're doing. If you're deadlifting, understand what it takes to deadlift and what muscles are being worked is number 3. So when you have the mind-muscle connection, you understand the movement, and you're able to breathe and control that pressure, then you should be well on your way to deadlifting heavy loads with or without rounding your upper back. I hope you like this video, guys. The next one's actually going to be about injuries when it comes to deadlifts and the lower back. What's involved, what sort of things you should look for, and what type of exercises you need to do to rehab yourself back to health so you could continue lifting, whether you do that with a neutral spine or rounding your upper back. And as always, thank you for watching.